Phil Richards, and today we're at the Juno Lighting Group Idea Lab Studios. Today we're going to talk about the Pro Series LED undercabinet fixture and how to install it. The fixture comes in various lengths and various colors. Let's remove one from the packaging and see what we get. So along with the fixture, you get a parts bag with some various components in there. And since the fixture is already set up to wire with non-metallic Romex cable, if you should choose to use BX armored cable, it also comes with a back plate that will accept that and the required connector for that. It also has a little knockout on that back plate so that you can whip in and whip out to your next fixture if that's your choice on wiring methods. And then of course there's various ways of connecting the fixtures to each other. We could flush mount them with the little joiner that's already provided. So I'm going to pop the little connection cover here off with my flat-headed screwdriver on each fixture. And you can see that that has kind of a flat end on it and a pointed end on it. And your flush connector also has that same configuration. There's a flat end and a pointed end. So I'm just going to push those in. And today we're going to be using two 22 inchers. So we can flush mount them like that, so that you've got a nice, clean, continuous run of the fixtures. And you might want to do this if you have the European style cabinets that have the continuous flat bottom, or if you would choose to put these on top of a row of cabinets to use as cove lighting. Now, if you've got breaks between the cabinets, as we do here, we have jumper cables in various lengths. Okay, so maybe you need this to go around a corner cabinet, or maybe you need this to jump the breaks between your cabinets. So again, the jumper cables have that same pointed at one end and flat on the other end configuration. Goes right in the end of the fixture. Push in firmly. And once again. And you can see if I needed to go around the corner, I could do something like that. There are three different ways that we could wire the LED Pro Series undercabinet fixture. The first one is with Romex, or what we in the industry call non-metallic cable. And the fixture is already set up for that with the correct conduit plate. The second method would be with BX armored cable, connector supplied in our parts bag, and our special mounting plate for that, which we've already shown you. Third way is with the direct wire module. We're going to show you all three of those methods of installation. Let's start with the NM cable. So I'm going to flip the fixture over so that I've got that conduit attachment facing up using my Phillips screwdriver. Loosen up that plate. I've got a wiring compartment here with my neutral, green ground, and black hot connected respectively with quick connects, corresponding with my white neutral, black, and bare ground wire on my NM cable. I'm going to pass that through the built-in connector on my conduit plate, and I'm going to place my white wire into the quick connection with my white, my black with my black, and my bare wire with my ground. Okay, and then I'm going to kind of fold that under, give me a little bit room so I can push it all back in. And tuck that offset under the chassis, replace the screw, and drive it back in with the Phillips. Theoretically, then, our first fixture would be live at this point, provided we turned the breaker back on, which we shut off prior to our installation. If you were going to make your installation with BX armor cable, you would first take out your trusty Phillips, loosen up that plate that we just used for our Romex. And you can set that aside or discard it and use the conduit plate supplied for the BX. Okay, so here we have our armored cable, and you can see I've got that little red insulator already pushed in there that prevents the wires from getting nicked by, by the sharp edge on the armored cable. So that's what those are for. I'm going to attach the connector, of course, to the end of the armored cable. Feed it through. And I'll tighten the screws on the side of that connector so that it grips it nice and firmly. And I can feed that. I'll take the lock nut off. Feed that through my connector. Replace the lock nut. And maybe give that a twist with my pliers. Okay, just to make sure that everything is nice and secure. And as we did previously with our NM cable installation, I'll fasten the green to that green quick connect. We'll connect the black to the black terminal, and we'll connect the white to the white, just as we did before. And tuck that little offset under the frame and slide it under my Phillips screw. Tighten down the plate. There is my armored cable installation connection. Our third method of installation is with the direct wire module. In this case, we completely bypass that conduit plate on the back of the fixture where we would have brought in our NM cable or our armored cable, and we actually go in through the side with that same connector assembly that we looked at before. So I'm going to take my little flat blade screwdriver and pop that piece out and plug that in. And the reason why I'm doing this is because we kind of need to know the correct distance so that we can cut the wire off at the correct length. So basically, I'm going to bring my BX or Romex into this little box, and this is going to be a junction box where I connect the Romex with this wire and then feed into the end of the fixture. So I'm going to take those screws off. And when I open up the box, surprise, there's another parts bag. Okay? What we actually see in here is a ground wire and some strain relief ports for the Romex, which we're going to use, and then some little knockouts. So I can take that knockout. The knockout is going to be used for my fixture cable. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to insert the wire from the direct wire module into our little junction box, and I'm going to take that little strain relief that's provided. Actually, there's two of them in the parts bag. And I'm just going to lay that right down inside and swing that little locking mechanism over. I usually do this with a pair of pliers. And then insert that through the knockout in the box. Okay, and of course, my armor cable will come through one of these strain relief ports. We'll make our connections with our black, white, and ground. You can see that on the direct wire module jumper cable, the neutral, or white, is clearly labeled with an N. So that one would go to our white wire. Okay, so now that we have the wires all connected and kind of tucked down neatly inside the box, we're ready to refasten the cover with the screws provided. and we have a very nice secure connection. This box, of course, is typically attached to the bottom or the underside of the cabinet, but you can see that there's also a full-size knockout in the back where you might, if your power is not coming in directly under the cabinet, might be coming in through, a little higher up the wall, you could actually put this inside of the cabinet and bring your power through there and then drill down through the floor of the cabinet to connect your wire to the bottom of the fixture. Okay, so we've talked about the 3 different installation types already, so now we're actually going to do an installation and show how it's done. For the installation, we're going to be using Romex and the supplied conduit plate that comes right on there that accepts the Romex. We're going to push it all the way back up against the wall, and we're going to connect a second fixture to it. Because we have a divider between the cabinets, we're going to use one of those jumper cables to connect the 2 fixtures electrically. So really, in a system like this, you only need to bring power into the first fixture, and you can keep daisy chaining fixtures to that as long as you don't exceed 5 amps, which would be 600 watts at 120 volts. So let's begin. But before we begin, let's go back to our load center and shut the power off at the circuit breaker. Next, I'm going to remove that plate so that we can push that NM cable through the supplied connector and make our connections as we just showed you. And I'm also going to remove those little connection plugs on the end of the fixture so that we'll have a little home for our jumper cable to plug into. Okay, so let's wire this up. First, I'm going to take my Romex, which I have pulled through a hole that's drilled in the wall, all the way at the back, at the bottom of the fixture. And once again, I'm going to, as we did before, I'm going to push it through the conduit plate that's made specifically for the Romex. Now, I'm going to connect my respective wires to their connectors. So, once again, black to the black. And my white to my white. The bare wire to my green ground. Securely connected now. I'm going to kind of fold that in and under. And refasten the screw. Next, I'll push that fixture all the way back and under. The beautiful thing about this product is that the screws are actually captive. They don't fall out. So, if I go to screw them in, they're not falling out. Okay, so now we're ready for the installation of our second fixture. Nothing much required here except just screwing it in. We're just going to use the attached screws. And the other side. Okay, so at this point we're fastened but not connected. This is where I take my jumper cable and just push it into that end terminal on the end of the fixture. And to the next one. One last finishing touch, and that's to take the little nail-in wire attachment, and I'll hammer that more securely in place. just to make sure that nothing catches on that. Now that our installation is complete, we're going to restore power. My assistant is back at the circuit breaker box. And there you see, the lights went on and the occupancy sensor picked me up, so I didn't have to reach over and flip a switch.